The season's over, and it's time for me to give my list of the best players in the league by position. I'm also going to do a top 25 best players in the NBA. That's coming soon after I finish this series. But to kick things off, we got the point guard position, and I'm not going to waste nobody's time. Roll the intro.
Hey. That on that beat? Nope.
Coming in at number 10, I got the point guard of the Cleveland Cavaliers himself, Darius Garland. I've been a big fan of Darius Garland for a really long time. If you go on my channel and look up DG's name, you would know I called his breakout season from the jump. It brings me so much joy to see what he has become, especially considering where he was in his rookie year. Now, I know this postseason wasn't a great look for him. He has to be held accountable for that. Injury or not, it's not an excuse for how bad he played. But obviously, that doesn't negate him to the point that he's going to be off this list. He's still one of the better ball handlers in the league. Man, those handles are smooth and crisp as fuck. Toss in the fact that he's one of the best off-ball players in the league, a great three-point shooter, a great playmaker, especially out of the pick and roll, one of the best pick and roll ball handlers in the league, and it's really no surprise why he ended up on this list. Now, a reason why he is not higher on this list is one, he's consistently injured, because even though this past year he was relatively healthy, he went into the playoffs and got hurt, and this year was probably the healthiest year of his career. Another thing is that he doesn't get pressure on the rim like a lot of these other guards, which is very valuable for a player who handles the ball as much as he does. And when you throw in the fact that he's not a great defensive player on that Cavaliers team that already has another undersized guard in the backcourt with him, I think there's a clear ceiling on where Darius Garland can be in the pantheon of great NBA players, which is still a great player, a top 10 point guard, but I personally can't put him any higher on this list. Next at number 9, I got the speedster of Philadelphia himself, Tyrese Maxiell. Now, despite a down year last season, I do believe that Tyrese Maxiell is a lot better than what he showed. The Sixers last year were riddled with injuries. They didn't know what the fuck was going on. Their whole entire season was in free fall. And despite that, Maxiell still averaged 26 points a game on 56% true shooting. It wasn't a horrible season, but obviously it was a come down from what we saw last year. Regardless of that, Maxiell still showed a lot of the same qualities he had last year on the court, despite the decrease in production. He still has one of the best first steps in the league. He's extremely quick off the dribble, bouncy, and can get to the rim on anybody. And sure, he had a down year from 3 this past season, but the 3 years prior, if you average it up, it's 40% shooting on 6 attempts a game. Trust me, he'll be fine. Maxiell obviously though does have his flaws. He can't carry an offense the way that a lot of other guys on this list can, and on top of that, he is not the greatest defender. Of course, he's pretty much a negative on that side of the ball. He's not a liability or anything, but he just doesn't have enough impact to be higher on this list. Still though, I do think he can climb higher with a better performance next season, and honestly, I'm just crossing my fingers that Embiid stays healthy so we can see a season with these two, because the magic we saw between them in 2024 is definitely something I want to see again. Coming in next, I got Ja Morant, and I can't lie to you, I don't know if this spot was too high or too low. Ja this past year was pretty disappointing. On top of the fact that obviously his play declined, he was not available for a lot of the season, so it's pretty hard to gauge what he's going to be going forward. The lack of a three-point shot is definitely catching up with him, and he doesn't have a mid-range jumper either. He doesn't attack the rim nearly as much as he used to, and I think a lot of that is due to some off-the-court issues probably playing a role into it, on top of that being injured, but he just doesn't have that first step that he used to have. Regardless of that, he's still one of the best at getting to the rim, and that says a lot, because this is a guy that on top of getting to the rim, he's still one of the better playmakers in the league, and this past year I think he showed a lot of steps in that aspect as well. Another thing about him is that the half-court offense of the Memphis Grizzlies is very smelly, and don't get me wrong, Ja definitely contributes to that with his lack of floor spacing, but he truly is the only guaranteed guy that can do the things that he does, which is get to the rim. The amount of pressure that he does put on a defense cannot be replicated whatsoever by anybody on this team. And I think it says a lot that despite their flaws and despite him missing games, they were still second in points per game and 6th in offensive rating. And a majority of that does have to do with Ja Morant. I'm just saying. The Grizzlies were just in disarray last year, so I'm willing to chalk that up to just a fluke season somewhat with Ja's decline, but next year is going to be a very important year for Ja. Mark that. Coming in next, we got Ice Trey himself at number 7. Man, I ain't gonna lie, Trey Young was also a little bit difficult to rank, but I think this spot is perfect for him. Trey has proven that he can take a team with a whole bunch of solid offensive role players and make it a top 5 or top 10 offense in the NBA. It's not a coincidence that guys thrive with Trey Young. Dyson Daniels resurrecting his career, Jalen Johnson's offensive improvement. Same thing with guys like Onyeka, DeAndre Hunter. Trey Young is just an offensive ceiling raiser. It's that simple. He's one of the 3 best playmakers in the league in my opinion, an amazing passer, especially out of the pick and roll. I mean, the guy averages 10 assists in his sleep just off of having a lob threat. He's just that good. Couple that with his gravity on the ball being insane, one of the best long-range shooters in the NBA, and it's really no surprise why I have him at this spot on this list. Trey is one of 2 players on this list that has never played with another All-NBA player, or even an all-star. So when it comes to his situation, it's not like it's very favorable, but yet he's still able to go out there and average 25 and 10 like it's clockwork every fucking season. But then you get into the negatives with Trey Young, and I can't lie, it is a lot of drawbacks with his game. For starters, the obvious is he is a horrendous defender, a true liability on that side of the ball. And I think it's even more of a testament to his offensive game that he's even this high on this list considering how bad he is defensively. You also throw in the fact that he is a very inconsistent scorer. He's very streaky when it comes to his 3-point shooting at times. He goes through so many horrible droughts. And though he's a good mid-range shooter, he doesn't take enough of them in my opinion, and he is not a great finisher at the rim. Hell, this past season, he actually shot 52% in the restricted area. Yikes. And when you consider that he's not too much of an off-ball player, though you could argue that might be by necessity rather than what he wants, I think what differentiates him from a lot of the other guys on this list is that I can't just drop Trey on any team and expect it to thrive. But I am intrigued to see what happens this season. I like the Kristaps Porzingis addition. Zach is gonna get better. Jalen Johnson is coming back next season, hopefully to play a full year without injury. Dyson Daniels is only gonna get better. And I like the addition of Alexander Walker to the team. It's going to be really interesting to see how the season pans out for the Atlanta Hawks, because trust me, if Trey delivers in the way I think he's capable of, I could see him climbing higher on these lists. But for now, I think number 7 will do. Coming in right outside the top 5, we got the bearded one, James Harden. Harden had one of his most underrated seasons this year. Don't care what the field goal percentage say, guys, it was a great year. Plain and simple. This is a guy that went out there without Kawhi Leonard for the majority of the season and essentially was the best player on a 50-win Clippers team in the Western Conference. People can say what they want about James Harden not being the player that he used to be, but he's still one of the most doubled players in the league. Defenses still respect the fuck out of him. The vision is still there. The ability to operate out of the pick and roll, it's still there. The elite 3-point shooting, it's still there. And the numbers also are still there. Harden in the last 25 games of the regular season averaged 25 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, a steal and a half on 45% from the field, 38% from 3, and 87% at the free throw line. Make no mistake about it, Harden is still an all-NBA caliber player and one of the best point guards in the league. And with the attention he gets on the court every single possession, it feels like, it opens up the offense for so many of his teammates. There's a reason why Zubac had a career season this past year. Or when LeBron chose to not play in the All-Star game, Norman Powell was getting fake love. It all goes back to James Harden and his impact on that team to elevate those around him as a centerpiece. Now, despite those positives, I gotta talk about why I don't have him higher on this list. For one, like I mentioned earlier, Harden obviously is declining. He can't get to the rim the way he used to. And even when he does, he doesn't even finish the way he used to as well. He's shooting below 60% in the restricted area. That definitely ain't the man we used to know. On top of that, his lack of a mid-range game I think is definitely catching up to him. And it's so weird because he's a very good mid-range shooter, he just doesn't take them at all. And on top of that, even though he's not a liability defensively, he's still not very good. And I would be remiss if I didn't even mention the stinker he put up in that game 7 in the playoffs. And though I do think Harden will play at a high level next year, he is getting older and a drop off is to be expected, which led me to not putting him in the top 5 and having this guy next ahead of him. Coming in to start us off in the top 5, I have Cade Cunningham. Now I ain't gonna lie, I may be jumping the gun with Cade over James Harden right now, but I'm a big believer in Cade's potential and I think he's gonna take a huge jump next year. But what we saw this past season I think is more than enough for for me to say he's a top 5 point guard. As the season went on this past year, Cade got better every single month. As in the second half of the year, Cade averaged 28 points a game, 9 assists, 6 rebounds, a steal and a half on 49% from the field, 34% from 3, and 87% at the free throw line. With Jaden Ivey out, he was basically the sole ball handler on that team. He generated damn near all of the offense for that roster, and despite his athletic limitations, he's a very crafty scorer in the post, is great at using his size, he's got a mid-range pull-up to his game, and defensively, even though he's not elite, he's no slouch either. He really had a hell of a season this past year, and I expect him to build on that going forward. Now, why I couldn't put him any higher on this list is, for starters, the turnovers are a lot. I can't lie to you. Even though he is a really good playmaker, sometimes his reads can be a bit predictable, as he's not a great athlete, he doesn't really have a first step like that, and though the roster construction is not perfect for him, he still goes out there and isn't a great finisher at the rim. And though he's an improved three-point shooter, he can be a bit streaky at times. As we saw in the playoffs, this man shot 17% from behind the arc. That's disgusting, I can't lie, Cade. Regardless of it though, I still have him as a top 5 point guard, and I'm trusting in another Cade Cunningham leap next season. New York, we're here with your guy Jaylen Brunson at number 4. JB, man, I gotta say, his rise to stardom and borderline superstardom, you can call him a superstar if you want. I don't think I'm quite there yet with JB, but regardless, he is a solidified star. He is one of the craftiest scorers in the league. Nice post game, good handle, can get to the rim, can operate in the mid-range, get to the free throw line, and is a well-improved three-point shooter. And on top of all of that, he elevates his game in the biggest moments as the clutch player of the year and in the postseason. Over the last 3 years in the playoffs, he leads all players in points per game, averaging 30. And he's on a Knicks team that is heavily reliant on his scoring ability. And sure, one may make the argument you can't really win with that, but at the end of the day, he's doing what he needs to do to get the team where they need to be. And yes, it was a disappointing ending to their season, but I don't think that was on Jaylen Brunson. He definitely had his faults in that loss to the Indiana Pacers, but we'll get to that in a second. I just think what he's able to do, especially at that size, it's remarkable. Honestly, the footwork, the handle, the shot, the post game, I love it. But what I don't love are the reasons why he's not higher on this list. For starters, he is not a great defender. At that size, being 6'1", obviously you can be taken advantage of. And when it's somebody like JB on that New York Knicks team that you really can't hide because of who's anchoring at the rim, and he's your best player, so he has to be on the court because without him, they can't do a damn thing, it can negate some of his impact on the game. Throw in the fact that his playmaking definitely could be better. The turnovers in that Eastern Conference Finals were a killer at times. I don't think he has the scoring gravity of guys higher on this list or the playmaking chops as a whole, but those are really my only 2 issues with JB. He is a solidified top 5 point guard in this league, and you could argue a top 10 player as well. Coming in to start off the top 3, we got Steph Wardell Curry. I don't have to spend too much time talking about him. We all know, the greatest shooter of all time, still the best shooter in the league. They said my man's was washed, and he said, hold my beer, I'm about to go crazy and show y'all who the fuck I am. As in the last 30 games of the regular season, he averaged 28 points a game, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 46% from the field, 40% from 3 on 12 attempts, and 93% at the free throw line. Curry is still one of the best offensive players in the league today. His ability to raise the ceiling and floor of any offense just because he is on the court is something I can only say for a select few players in the NBA. And just like we know all the positives, the negatives are also obvious as well. He's not a great defender, he can be taken advantage of, and sure, he's not a liability, but it's still a negative in his game, especially at this age in his career. And speaking of age in his career, he doesn't get pressure on the rim like that, which has led to why he's such a crazy high volume 3-point shooter in comparison to his 2-point attempts. And even as far as his handle goes, I don't think it's as tight as it used to be. It's still good enough to get the job done, but that self-creation ain't what it used to be. I'll say that. And that's why we saw him with this roster. It really wasn't gonna get the job done at all until they got Jimmy Butler. And even speaking of age, I think that obviously contributed to why he got hurt in the playoffs. It's clear to me that them going through that 7-game series in the first round with the Rockets probably took a toll on his body and led to that injury he suffered in the first round. And with more wear and tear on his body as he gets older, especially as a smaller guard who has been injury prone in the past, that has to factor in. But regardless, he's still a top 10 player in this league. He's still a superstar, and he's still a top 3 point guard in the NBA. He's Steph motherfucking Curry. Plain and simple. Coming in next at number 2, we have Luca Doncic. Similar to Steph Curry, there's not too much to say about Luca that you guys don't already know. He wakes up and averages 39 and 9 like it's nothing. Whether he's fat, skinny, in shape, beer belly, it don't matter. Luca has that rare combination of being among the 3 to 5 best scorers in the league while also being among the 3 to 5 best playmakers in the NBA. You just can't teach shit like that. The feel for the game is at an all-time level even when he's fat. Think about that, even when he is fucking fat, which leads into some of the negatives because we got to talk about that too. He's not a great off-ball player. Actually, he's the non-existent one. And when you dominate the ball like he does, it can be a negative and halt an offense because that shit becomes way too predictable. And because he's not in shape all the time, he suffers these injuries, and that burst and ability to create separation off the dribble, it ain't there like it used to be for Luca. Throw in the fact that defensively, he is a liability. Yes, a liability. He can't switch, he can't fight over screens well, he provides no type of help defense, no type of effort whatsoever, he's not a rim protector, he ball watches all the fucking time, and you would think at his height and size playing on the wing, there's no way he could be a liability, but somehow he has found a way. But I've been seeing the offseason pictures. I hope Luca actually is getting himself in shape. I hope he is going to take defense seriously next year, and I hope he is going to add some off-ball quips to his game, because Luca, I need you to prove the haters wrong. Make Nico Harrison look like a dumbass next year. You can regain your number 1 spot on this list. But until then, that leads us to the end of this list. At number 1, the reigning MVP, Finals MVP, scoring champion, NBA champion, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. SGA, I mean, was there any doubt who was going to be number 1, especially after the season he just had? I mean, I'm not trying to glaze, but what is the glaring weakness of Shai's game? I guess 3-point shooting or some of the playmaking, and even those aren't true weaknesses, those are just things he could get better at. The man is unstoppable at getting to his spots in the mid-range. You can't guard him one-on-one. He's got a great handle, can get separation on anybody, fights through contact, he can get to the free throw line at will, and even defensively, he is a great help defender, gets in passing lanes, can provide some weak side rim protection. I mean, this nigga is truly a cheat code, and we are watching one of the greatest primes of all time begin right now. So there you have it. Those are my top 10 point guards in the NBA. You can see it on the screen right now. You guys let me know your opinions down below in the comments section. I'm out. Y'all have a great day. Peace.